What's up LV viewers? With Meet Thy Maker progressing nicely and nearing its completion, I thought that doing this type of video could be fun. I'm sure some of my viewers are curious about the behind the scenes process that goes into these animations, so here we go. Here's a time lapse of me animating the song's bridge. I animate in pieces, essentially dividing the song into multiple segments. This is mainly to prevent SFM from crashing due to a massive session, but it also helps me get a better sense of progress and knowing exactly what is left to be worked on. When I'm done with a clip, I do the whole exporting process, which I'll further break down later, and then drag it onto the video timeline along with the other clips I've already done. But of course, before we can get there, the actual animation work comes first and foremost. Before I animate anything, I always try to get a rough direction in my head on how I want the scene to look visually. Like every creator, I get influenced by the work of others, and here is no exception. For instance, the inspirations for this shot in particular were this BATIM Chapter 5 poster leading up to release, and the first lady cutscene at the start of Little Nightmares. You may notice that at points, the scene and models are made entirely white with some shading. This is me enabling the ambient occlusion mode within SFM, which makes it a lot easier to work with the Bendy models. Since they tend to be dipped in black, posing the characters can get tricky since it can all start to blend together, but thankfully this option exists to make the process much more bearable. While I animate in the background, here's a fun fact. This animation's focus was revealed earlier this year to be the Lost Ones, but I later realized the unintentional vagueness of that term. Instead of the entities literally called Lost Ones, the video was meant to embody those souls lost in general throughout Joey Drew Studios. Each animation was initially intended to focus on one core character, but that is definitely changing. Structuring Chapter 4 this way just felt right. All in all, the animation will focus on Bertram, Alice Angel, the Projectionist, and these guys. Together, I consider this group to be the Lost Ones, especially considering how truly corrupt those first three characters have become. This animation also highlights a new member joining that group, but I'm sure you could figure out who that is. Anyway, enough with that tangent. Hopefully it was at least a little bit insightful. About halfway through, you can see that I go back to the lighting stage and adjust them greatly. I realized that the look wasn't as faithful as I wanted it to be to that Chapter 5 poster I drew inspiration from. At any point, I'm very comfortable with going back and making modifications to stuff that's already been done. Even when a clip is exported, I find myself going back and fine-tuning it multiple times. These could be changes in animation, lighting, scene building, you name it. Near the end, I started to get a bit worried that the scene was rather empty and filled with too much negative, unoccupied space. I solved this issue by adding everyone's favorite ink machine into the shot. I always thought these pipes looked really cool, and they definitely helped tie this sequence together. When I feel a clip is ready to export, I double check that all of the settings are to my liking. Motion blur samples, resolution, frame rate, etc. I render my animations at 1080p, 60fps, and image sequences under PNGs. Using image sequences instead of exporting straight to video files helps preserve the quality and lighting shown in the viewport. While the process is a bit longer this way, especially with the settings I render at, I highly recommend it. I usually tend to export these clips right before bed and leave SFM on exporting overnight. These animations are no stranger to taking hours to fully export each frame at a time, so this is a convenient solution. After SFM is done rendering the animation into hundreds and hundreds of images, I load up Blender. Not for modeling, of course, I'm using Blender's secluded video editing tab. Nothing crazy here, I just import all of the frames to load sequentially, pick the settings I prefer, and bam, we gotta undergo another exporting process. Thankfully this one isn't anywhere near as long as the previous one since it's only stringing together images, and not rendering from full 3D environments. When that's done, I toss the clip into my editing software, Adobe Premiere Pro, and we are golden. This scene specifically also needed a slight blur at the beginning to match the vision I was going for, and that's that. Before ending off the video, here's the scene in its entirety, music included.
Can you hear this? Can you feel this mortal presence? It's time to set us free.
Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.